President Obama, I know that you're tired and frustrated, and I'm sorry. I'm tired and frustrated too. My name is Carissa Chambers, and I'm sending you this message because I'm in fear of state and federal officials here in Florida. My frustration is due to officials repeatedly abusing their power in ways that are unethical and unlawful. In January 2014, I went to the Federal Bureau of Investigation office in Jacksonville, Florida, to file a complaint against officials in Tallahassee operating under color of law. The security guard and an FBI agent would not let me file a complaint, nor would they allow me to enter into the building. I just wanted to go in and sign in so that there would be record that I was there, but they would not let me into the building. Leon County Sheriff Larry Campbell has connections with the FBI office in Jacksonville, which is his hometown, so I was not surprised by their treatment. In March 2014, I contacted U.S. State Senator Bill Nelson outlining the wrongful conviction of my son and the roles played by elected officials, judicial officials, law enforcement officials, and state officials. There was a lot of perjury committed by these officials. Senator Nelson contacted me, thanking me for bringing my concerns to his attention. Senator Nelson also informed me that he was contacting the U.S. Department of Justice on my behalf. In May 2014, I received a copy of a letter that was sent to Senator Nelson's office from the U.S. Department of Justice, Office of Legislative Affairs, signed by Monty Wilkinson, Director. In the letter, Mr. Wilkinson is informing Senator Nelson that I need to take my concerns to a local Federal Bureau of Investigation's office and the Florida Bar. The problem with Mr. Wilkinson's response is that I'd already gone that route. I'd informed Senator Nelson of that entire process, and which is probably why Senator Nelson contacted the Department of Justice. Surely Senator Nelson's experience as a former astronaut, a former congressman, a public service champion has more than afforded him the credibility to recognize judicial proceedings that are unlawful and need the attention of the Department of Justice. As an American citizen, as a Florida citizen, I was embarrassed for Senator Nelson. Mr. Wilkinson's response was like sending an abused woman back to her abuser. I'm a single mother of 4. My family and I are originally from Orlando. We moved to Tallahassee in April 2001. It is my belief that Tallahassee's judicial system may have operated in a corrupt manner for years, so much so that those in charge today and those being groomed to be in charge in the years to come may not even recognize their unethical and unlawful acts. In regards to my family, back in 2011, my son Deshaun Richard Thomas came to me and informed me that 2 of his friends had been found murdered in their townhome. Deshaun was in college at the time. I thought the information that Deshaun shared with me, I thought it would be a good idea for us to take it to the Leon County Sheriff's Office, possibly to help with their investigation. But instead of receiving the information as helpful citizens reaching out to them, Detective Don Odom was very racist towards my son and I. Detective Don Odom and I got into a heated conversation, and Detective Odom kicked me out of the Leon County Sheriff's Office. My son was not charged with the murders. However, about 2 weeks later, Detective Don Odom said that someone came in and gave him incriminating statements about my son. And from there, Detective Odom prepared probable cause and had Assistant State Attorney Jack Campbell approve it, and they took it to a Leon County judge to get her signature, and she issued a warrant out for Deshaun's arrest. What I learned after Deshaun was arrested was that Detective Odom was not a detective with the Leon County Sheriff's Office at all. He's not even an employee with the Leon County Sheriff's Office. He's a friend of Assistant State Attorney Jack Campbell and Leon County Sheriff Larry Campbell. So naturally, Mr. Odom did have a reason to want my son to be charged with the murders, considering that he and I had a heated argument. And with the support of State Attorney Willie Meggs, Leon County Sheriff Larry Campbell, and Assistant State Attorney Jack Campbell, they were all able to make that happen. Assistant State Attorney Jack Campbell was the prosecutor on the case. So my son, who's 17 years old, being charged as an adult, is now facing Leon County Sheriff Larry Campbell, who is the investigating team on the double murder case, and being prosecuted by Leon County Sheriff Larry Campbell's son, State Prosecutor Jack Campbell. It was so disheartening to learn that Florida state legislators do not have any laws or policies in place to keep my son from being maliciously prosecuted, or just any citizen from being maliciously prosecuted in Tallahassee. The father-son investigation team and prosecution team turned out to be exactly what I'd predicted: very racist and very malicious. Circuit Judge James Hankinson denied a lot of my son a lot of his rights. Judge James Hankinson, along with State Prosecutor Jack Campbell and local defense attorney Gregory Cummings, they all lied. They embezzled me out of my money. I complained to Governor Rick Scott in regards to these issues going on. Governor Rick Scott refused to put a special prosecutor on the case. When my son fired Gregory Cummings as his defense attorney, my son was thrown into solitary confinement and charged with solicitation to commit murder, a plot that State Prosecutor Jack Campbell and the rest of his Leon County Sheriff Larry Campbell's employees plotted to help to get my son with those charges. This whole thing has been very malicious. The state of Florida has stolen nearly $30,000 of my money, and they have stolen my son. Not long after my son was convicted, Florida Governor Rick Scott was having a fundraiser with CEO of private prisons. So now I ask you, President Obama, how serious do you think Governor Rick Scott was taking my begging and pleading? He and Pam Bondi both told me that there was nothing that they could do. So who was I to turn to? The Florida Bar has special connections with Judge James Hankinson. They refused to do anything. I did not have another $30,000 to give to an attorney just to be told nothing can be done when the attorney did nothing for my son. Since there was no physical, material, or circumstantial evidence against Deshaun connecting him to the murders, there were really no hearings in those regards. However, in this video clip, I would like for you to see exactly how Assistant State Attorney Jack Campbell is running the courtroom. He's telling Judge Fulford what to do. She's doing it. Judge Fulford is not new to the bench. So the only reason for Judge Fulford to accept the instruction from Assistant State Attorney Jack Campbell is because this is not normal. This is unethical and this is unlawful. And everybody in the courtroom is sitting there while my son's rights are being violated. This person who Jack Campbell has spent his weekend getting an attorney for is a witness for Attorney Jack Campbell. This young man was in Leon County Jail charged with 2 bank robberies. He agreed to help Jack Campbell set my son up to be charged with solicitation to commit murder. Listen how Jack Campbell is just telling Judge Fulford what she needs to do. Listen how Public Defender Lead Nancy Daniels is telling Judge Fulford how they do things in the Leon County Courthouse. And watch how my son's regional counsel, Darren Shippey, just stands by and not say a thing as far as the unethical and wrongful way that this attorney gets assigned to Mr. Williams' case.
Did you have something, Ms. Daniels?
I have an interest in this hearing.
Oh, okay. That's fine. I just didn't know if I had something I wanted to cover. Okay.
I can address that with Your Honor as well. Your Honor, on Thursday at 4:57 p.m. in the afternoon, I received an email from Ms. Daniels advising me that she planned to move to withdraw from representing DeJuan Williams. That's D-U-W-U-A-N Williams, who is a material witness in the solicitation to commit murder case. He's been subpoenaed by the defense, and if I had not, I'm assuming the state would have brought him in any event. For today's hearing, at Ms. Daniels' request, I went ahead and filed a motion to withdraw because the case would be coming to my office, delivered to your office Friday early afternoon, a motion to withdraw an order. I don't know if the court's had the opportunity to even receive the motion and order, but there was some concern about whether Mr. Williams would have representation, assuming he wanted any for the purpose of testifying in today's hearing. I think the state has gone above and beyond in making efforts, it looks like, to perhaps have somebody available on an interim basis. What Mr. Campbell and I have discussed is we've got some other things that we can take care of. Mr. Williams would likely be the fourth out of 5 witnesses that I plan to call today, so we can put him off for a little bit and then I guess address the issue more specifically when we get to his time to testify.
Just a second. Would you ask Deanna, DeJuan Williams, to see if there's a motion and order on DeJuan Williams in my office, please?
Your Honor, if I may, I believe Mr. Williams is in the courthouse at this time, and it would probably be best to go ahead and start moving the mechanics now on this issue. I don't want to continue next week's murder trial, but that's what we would be dealing with because of this conflict. I mean, that's the issue. I can't proceed without him, and if he decides to not testify because he's unrepresented, he's facing numerous serious charges at this point.
Yeah, I have my secretary trying to get the motion in order. You've already withdrawn.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
I've talked to Mr. Alex Morris this weekend. I also talked to Mr. Ward. Both of them are on the Capital Conflict Council. Mr. Morris is scheduled to be in front of Judge Hankinson at 10:30 this morning, but he's told me that if I call him, he would certainly make himself available to the court, but I think it may require a special order for compensation for Mr. Morris to be able to, since it's a non-capital, to get him on there at this speed.
I don't know that. Do I have a right to just pick who the lawyer's going to be? I think the clerk has to assign them randomly or however, like in turn or something, don't they?
Your Honor, I know I've dealt with in cases before in extraordinary situations where where literally we've walked down the hallway and drafted. I've had judges order defense attorneys to do it, and that's what I'm basically going to be asking the court to do is to.
Well, I'm going to need Mr. Williams and Mr. Morris present for that.
Right,
so.
and that's what I'm going to ask for, and perhaps Ms. Daniels, because as far as compensation, my recommendation would be that because you're ordering them, either it'd be paid for either JQC, I think that's the right organization that normally pays them, or by Ms. Daniels' office for Mr. Morris's, because once again, we are dealing with an emergency situation where, a double homicide, it would frustrate a lot of our ability to proceed. So that's my recommendation, is if we do it that way, perhaps we can sidestep and make sure that both Mr. Morris is compensated for his work and that we have lawyers and we can proceed on this trial. I'll call Mr. Morris right now and leave the floor.
Yeah, we need to get Mr. Williams. Do we know where he is? Yeah, know where he's at?
He should be on the way upstairs.
Okay.
But in case he is, probably have to keep him somewhere out of area until we get ready to do it.
Okay.
Judge, there have been instances where in an emergency situation, a certain lawyer is available and the court can appoint him and we can work out that payment with the JAC.
Safety of Mr. Ross.
Yes, it did.
Did you know whether there were other hitmen at that time who had been hired to kill Mr. Ross?
No, I did not.
Did you know? Do you want to take a break, Judge? I'm
I
fine.
do. Is that Mr. Morris? He is. Yes. Okay. But interrupt for just a moment and bring him in. You can stay right there. Morning, sir. What's your name?
DeJuan Williams, Miss Fulford.
All right, Mr. Williams, you're before the court in case 2013 CF 1136. You were previously appointed the Public Defender's Office to represent you. You're aware of that, of course?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, I have received a motion from them indicating that they have a conflict in their case, which means they can no longer represent you. Do you understand that?
Yes, Your Honor.
Has someone advised you of that previously?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. I'm going to grant their motion to withdraw. When I do that, I must automatically appoint the Regional Conflict Attorney's Office to represent you. That's the standard procedure. Do you understand that?
Yes, Your Honor.
However, at this point in time, they represent an individual in whose case you may be called as a witness to testify, so they automatically have a conflict as well. Do you understand that?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, so they have filed a written motion to withdraw, and I'm going to grant their motion to withdraw as well, okay?
Yes, Your Honor.
You're still entitled to have an attorney to represent you, however, and since the public defender was previously appointed, that means you qualify for the services of a public defender, an attorney provided at no charge to you. Do you understand that?
Yes, Your Honor.
So I'm going to appoint another lawyer to represent you. Do you see the gentleman standing to your right?
Yes, sir.
That's attorney Alex Morris, and I'm going to appoint him to represent you. And his services will be paid for. That will be taken care of through the JAC or the Public Defender's Office. Mr. Morris will make sure that that's taken care of. Will you accept the appointment of this gentleman?
Yes, Judge.
Do you have any conflicts that you're aware of?
None that I'm aware of.
I'm going to give you an opportunity to speak to him now, Mr. Morris, if you have time, because whether or not we can proceed with this case to trial next week is dependent upon your ability to represent him and our ability to go forward based on that. So is there a place that Mr. Morris can meet with him? You want to do it in here, somewhere else? What?
Is the jury room available?
Any deals that you need to go ahead?
No, I'm taking care of it.
Okay.
Yes, we.
All right, very well. We're going to give you a place to meet with your new attorney, okay, sir?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, thank you.
Alex, finish pulling all the files and
Okay.
available as soon as you do for Nancy Daniels yourself, so if you could have them for you as soon as you want, for his pending case.
Thomas. Thomas.
Before Mr. Williams leaves, I wanted to advise the court of a discussion that Mr. Williams and I had. I leave for San Francisco for the Florida State mock trial tournament next Wednesday. In my discussions with Mr. Williams, he does not have any concern with my presence being here, and ordinarily, given the circumstances, because he's not a co-defendant or anything like that, I normally would not be present. We discussed that. He's fine with that. I do have an associate, though, that can potentially be here, and I'm going to notify him of that potential. But I just want to make sure that everybody's on the same page.
All right, you have any questions before that happens, Mr. Campbell?
Nope, that's fine. That's
Okay.
good.
Okay, thank you.
Defense would call Mr. Thomas, Your Honor.
All right, Mr. Thomas?
Now, how many state prosecutors would love to order a judge as far as telling her or him what attorneys to put on their witness's case? Is that not a nightmare for any defense attorney, whether private or court appointed? This is not the way to seek justice. I mean, these are such injustice acts. I have law enforcement officers admitting to smuggling contraband into the Leon County Jail just so Jack Campbell can get a conviction on my son. I'm not surprised by the conviction that they got on my son on October 18th of 2013. With everybody lying, committing perjury, it was going to happen. I was not surprised by that. I was not surprised months later when Governor Rick Scott attended a fundraiser at the house of a CEO owner of private prisons. I wasn't surprised by that. It just lets me know that he was not taking me serious. He did not care about the injustice acts in Tallahassee that were going on in Tallahassee. He has no reason to care when he's out committing unjustly acts himself. He and Attorney General Pam Bondi. So I was not surprised by this. However, my son is innocent, and they know it. They stole my money. They stole my son. And they are going on with their lives while here I am 4 years into this, fighting for my son to get out of a prison that they know he does not deserve to be in. The state of Florida has threatened to put me in jail if I discuss the autopsy reports because the medical examiner lied. Instead of them concentrating on why the medical examiner committed perjury during trial, they're threatening me. So every day I have to worry about somebody knocking on my door with an arrest warrant because by them lying on my son, they can lie on me. By them lying on my son and getting him convicted, they can lie on anybody. Anybody in my family, anybody in the community. The only reason why I feel halfway safe is because I no longer live in Tallahassee. I relocated back to Central Florida, and that's the only reason why I feel safe. And I ask you, President Obama, I'm begging you to please have federal officials get in touch with me or U.S. Senator Bill Nelson to help us get some resolution to this, because this is not fair to my family. This is not fair to the citizens of Florida, because a father and son should not be investigating a criminal case and should not be prosecuting a criminal case. There is no reason for that. If they had the evidence that they needed to convict my son, then it should have been a fair trial. But you saw the video. Now, what courtroom operates like that? What attorney will agree to what you saw? There is no reason for that. And there is plenty of more. Thank you so much. I really thank you with all my heart for any help that you can give. Thank you.